The views and opinions expressed by the hosts do not state or reflect those of the company and its management. Any assumptions, views, and insinuations made by the hosts or guests do not reflect those of the show, the management, and the network. Listener discretion is advised.
Warning. This podcast contains spoilers.
Third World Cinema Club.
The next program is Localities. So, mga lugar-lugar, kumbaga. Ang pinaka napanood natin dito ay ito, Walang Rape sa Bontoc, and directed by Mark Lester Valle and Carla Pulido Campo. They were also involved in the making of another well-regarded film, Cinemalaya 2020 Best Film, Tokwifi, no?
Q-Cinema din yun, di ba?
Yes, Q-Cinema. May award din sila sa Q-Cinema eh.
Yes.
They've received the award from that also.
Yes.
So this is a GMA Network production made in 2014. So it's told from their two female filmmakers. They're both victims of sexual abuse. They're looking for a place na parang na-entice, kumbaga sila sa idea na there's a place here na walang concept ng rape. So yung mga bontok. And then parang hinimay-himay nila yung bakit ganito yung kanilang kultura. In-explore nila yung abuse as a Western or a colonial concept na parang pwedeng mag-seep in to cultures that don't have that concept. Yung parang pagka-patriarchal niya, or is it something else? In-explore nila kung saan, hindi lang bakit walang rape. In-explore nila yung the concept of rape as it exists in some societies, but apparently not in others. So, have we all watched Walang Rape sa Bontoc?
Yes.
Yes. So, your thoughts, Princess, what are your thoughts about this film?
Ayun. Very interesting kasi mas nauna ko napanood yung Tokwifi than this one. And good choice na napanood ko siya, I think, in that kind of order. Kasi I had no idea who Carla Pulido Campo was. Ayun, very compelling yung the kind of filmmaking that they did for this. So, I guess sa mga documentaries, ito yung klase ng documentary that's out to search for an answer as opposed to just telling us what's happening. Diba? May mga ganun kasi. So, midway throughout the film, mapapaisip ka na, what if wala silang mahanap na exact na answer na wala pa ring rape sa Bontoc? Although I guess may parts sa film that discusses na nagkaroon na ng rape sa Bontoc. Pero yung na-feed nila dun sa film was to highlight na it's not an intent that we grew up on or as a culture. Pero the term rape or the way that rape is actually positioned in our society is because of colonialism, pag-change ng traditions, pagkaluma ng mga built-in na traditions ng tribes, and yun. So basically, it's all external factors, which was very interesting for a kind of documentary na hindi mo maisip na, meron kayang ganyang klaseng society, and does it actually exist in our society?
Ayun. So,
Yun lang po. Tapos na ako.
Baka kasi meron pa yun. How about you, Jim? Napanood mo itong Walang Rape sa Bontoc. What did you think about it?
Okay, sadly, hindi ko siya napanood ng buo.
Okay.
But, just to add, parang trivia na lang din, no? Ang Walang Rape sa Bontoc was part of 2014 Sini Totoo, no, Brian, in documentary festival ng GMA. And during 2015, it was awarded Best Documentary of Gawad Urian, as far as I recall.
Nice.
So,
I'm not really sure kung nakuha rin siya ng award yata outside of the country or na-screen siya outside of the country. Parang basta may ganun siyang pangyayari.
I think may international screenings na to. Pero I'm not sure. Brian, ikaw, what did you think?
Actually, sabi ni Princess yung, yung point na gusto kong sabihin din. Tama sinabi ni Princess na itong film na to nakatulong para mag-spark ng conversation. Na i-remind yung public na mayroong ganitong klaseng community at kayang mag-exist ng ganitong klaseng community. Na for me, yun din yata yung point din na gusto i-raise si Carla. Hindi ko alam kung dapat ko bang sabihin dito. Pero parang sinasabi naman sa mga talk niya na naging biktima rin siya ng abuse. So sa TEDx, alam ko na nakita ko rin yun. So ginamit niya yung school ngayon para i-convey yung very important issue sa Pilipinas regarding this kind of ang ganda pangyayari. For me, effective yung ginawa nila Carla and Markless.
Yun. Interesting talaga na within sa Bontoc Society, yung the very idea na rape is sobrang alien sa kanila. Hindi nila maisip na magagawa yun. Parang sobrang sahod. Tapos, it went beyond that din kasi. It also discussed yung paano sila deal with each other, paano yung roles ng males and females sa society. So, yung mga babae lang nagtatanim, lalaki are engaged in conflict. Hindi naman siya quote-unquote utopia. Parang nakikipag-gera pa rin sila with other tribes, ganyan. Yung mga problema, pero yun pa rin. Parang they're far from siguro yung usual Western depictions of yung mga katutubo na, ay, itong mga to, very primitive, ganyan. Hindi eh. And that messaging is also seen sa Tokwifi eh. Parang iba, ang daming pwedeng maituro sa atin ng ating mga katutubong mga kapatid na makakabuti sa atin as a society if we only listen. Tapos, it's good na indigenous filmmakers and filmmakers like Carla and Mark Lester that engage with yung mga indigenous peoples natin sa Pilipinas na to give them voices, para to give them ways to tell their story. Anyway,
so yung sa title, no? Parang maano ka kagad. Walang rape.
Madodrawin ka eh.
Diba? Madodrawin ka.
Tama.
Talaga?
Saka to add lang, may ganun nga siyang factor. Mabanggit ko lang. Kasi sa amin, sa katutubo namin, wala kaming concept din ng rape, pero may concept of incest. Hindi siya learned as, or hindi siya termed as incest. Pero naalala ko kasi dun sa walang rape sa Bontoc, parang bawal magkatabi yung mga magkakapatid na babae tsaka lalaki, ganyan. Pero sa amin, Brian, I'm a full-blooded IT. Kaya may mga ganun akong comments.
Saan na?
Blaan ako.
Blaan.
Mindanao.
Sa Mindanao.
Yes. So, my dad is a tribal leader. Tapos, he wrote a book on us. Ayun. So, kung gusto niyong basahin, sabihin niyo lang ako. So, naalala ko kasi yung part na yun na parang yung mga magkakapatid na babae at lalaki, hindi sila sabay matulog or magkatabi matulog. Sa amin, may parang concept of incest, pero more on sa sa power, parang pag-retain ng power sa isang group. So, for example, yung parents ko, second-degree cousin sila. Para hindi siya yung madungisan daw, quote-unquote, ng other bloods, parang ganun. Kaya interesting for me na, wow, okay, sa kanila ganun yung culture nila before na nagkaroon ng westernized na kultura.
Yun, any more thoughts on Walang Rape sa Bontoc before we go to our last film in the initial line of films?
Wala na po. Kaya na po yan.
Brian, ikaw?
I'm good. Okay na.
Okay. So, eto, magpo-monologue ako kasi ako lang nakapanood. The last batch of film, the last theme is future. So, ganito tayo ngayon, paano sila bukas. So, in terms of documentaries, no, there are a lot of avenues that you can explore na hindi lang siya bound to what we're used to with documentary, mga talking heads, ganyan. Can be a lot of things kasi the term documentary it's not limited to one thing. It's medyo nebulous yung term if you look at it. What really constitutes a documentary? Lalo na siguro dun sa may lineup dati ang Cinema One originals, no? Yung lineup nila Piding, Paper Power Bombshell, yung mga films na yan. They parang push the limits of what a documentary can be like. And of course, last year's For My Alien Friend, which we talked about before. Pero in this case, I'd like to talk about one of the films in this category called Beast Mode, A Social Experiment by Manuel Messina III. It was released in 2018 and it chronicled yung very public na quote-unquote away ni Kiko Matos at saka ni Baron Geisler na akala nating lahat na totoo. It was even featured in mainstream media. And yun pala, it was a page na altercation that originally would have led to parang protest or awareness art regarding fighting for lumads. Parang yun dapat ending. Sa UP lang sila yung final na away nila tapos ipapakita na fake pala yun. Pero it morphed into something else. And ang interesting niya kasi para siyang nag-mutate yung kwento in the middle na tipong the creators of the art lost control of their art kasi biglang naging MMA na siya. Tapos, pagka-frame sa kanya ngayon, it's a commentary on how we are swayed or how we are nalilin lang tayo by violence. kung paano tayo gusto natin na makakita ng away, kumbaga. And also how fascist regimes can use violence to control us. Pero I also view it as how information can be manipulated easily, how art can be appropriated by someone else for their own means. Kung pwede siyang i-commodify, nga, nagbentahan ng tickets for the MMA fight, na hindi naman original intention ng artist, tapos nakiride si Baron tsaka si Kiko Matos, sinabi sa kanila, huwag kayong umano sa mga MMA people, pero sige, laban tayo, ganun eh, naglaban nga sila. Para siyang interesting yung how they were trying to wrap this pag-change ng narrative. Para siyang yung sa Borat 2, kung napanood niyo na yung Borat 2, kasi di ba it would have been a normal joke lang about how para Borat na nanggagago ng mga kung sino-sino. Tapos the COVID pandemic hit and then they rewrote the story to accommodate that change. So parang ganito din, no? There are things outside a documentarian's control, pero he or she has to adapt to it para makakreate ng sarili niyang story. Because, documentarians are storytellers. Wala lang, ang galing lang. And yung paggamit ng narrative, paggamit ng kwento for your own means, ay relevant pa rin hanggang ngayon. Kasi ang daming fake news dyan na tipong they are appropriating stories, they are appropriating images, they are appropriating events, and then creating their own narratives. Tapos, especially if those narratives are very violent, if those narratives incite violent reactions from us, yun yung nagta-turn up ng engagement. So, we tend to engage with things that make us angry. And although that can be used as a good thing, kasi tingnan mo nga, ang daming films dito sa festival nito, nagagalit tayo kasi we feel when people are oppressed or when we feel it when people are not treated right by our fellow man. It can also be used for bad things. In this case na kung ikaw ay turingin na masama ng gobyerno, kalaban ka na. So people can turn narratives against you. Kung gaya ng, for example, yung nangyari kay De Lima, or to set an example, parang inakusahan siya kasi tumututol siya, so pinakulong siya kahit na yung ebidensya, as it turns out ngayon, parang wala lang. Diba? So yung mga ganong klaseng bagay, yung manipulation of violence and narrative, very interesting documentary. Tsaka it's fun kasi parang you see a different angle of something that you thought was real. Nung at the time, akala ko totoo to eh. Natatandaan nyo ba to nung nag-aaway sila, di ba? Para naghagisan pa yata ng ihi yung dalawa or something.
Yes.
Grabe yan eh.
Publicity lang pala.
Siyempre, dito pumasok yung meme culture. Meme culture is something that has only sprouted up siguro in the past, siguro 10 to 15 years, no? Pero it's very well woven into this narrative. Hango nga dun sa the theme of this last program, Future, in a world na magkakaroon ka ng misinformation, the evolution of films such as, for example, Epis or Fake ni Orson Welles, no? Na how can you manipulate a story for your own means. So, yun lang. Nagustuhan ko siya. I really enjoyed this film. Sana mapanood nyo in the future. Sana ipalabas siya ulit. So, I guess bonus round tayo ngayon. We're gonna talk about 3 films that from the festival that we want to talk about a little. The first one was already featured in Q Cinema, pero we want to talk about it a little more here. It's A is for Agustin. The titular character here is a man who wants to learn how to read. And he goes back to school to try to do it, pero ang daming problems in the way. Directed by Grace Simbulan from last year. So your thoughts, guys, on A for Agustin?
Ayun. Well, it's a really powerful documentary, a look on the educational system here and the poverty that, our fellow Filipinos are experiencing. I guess kahit hindi man siya sa administrasyong ito or kahit sa previous or kumbaga rurok siya ng sistema. Kasi onset pa lang nung documentary ni Grace Simbulan, pinapakita na, spoiler alert, dinadaya pala siya ng employer niya. So, yung occupation nila ng asawa niya is naghahakot sila or sila ng charcoal, or ng uling. So, nagbabalot sila ng uling. And hindi man natin alam yun, it's a really tough job kasi nai-inhale mo siya. Tapos at the same time, mabigat siya, marami kang kailangan ipack, ganyan. Tapos yun, dinudugas pala siya. Doon nag-spark yung interest ni Agustin na mag-aral kasi na-feel niya na matagal na siyang dinutugas ng boss niya kasi hindi niya alam kung yung pera ba binibigay sa kanya is 100 pesos or 200 pesos lang or whatnot, ganyan. Apparently, towards the end, feeling mo, gusto mo siyang mailagay. Ako, yung naramdaman ko sa kanya, gusto siyang ilagay sa rom-com or sa K-drama na everything is gonna be alright towards the end. Pero, hindi naman ganun lagi ang case. Ito yung klase ng documentary na Grace is searching for answers on his behalf. And, Agustin is also looking at his life in a different way na unfortunately, ayaw man niya na siya mapunta sa spotlight ng broken system pero it's a really powerful telling of a film on critical decisions in life. So, it's really good. Ayan.
Alam mo ba yung...
How about you guys?
Alam mo ba, Princess, yung nangyari kay Agustin after the film?
Hindi. Parang ang nakita ko lang dun sa film, nag-aral ulit siya, di ba?
Nag-aral ulit siya pero he had to stop din.
Oo.
Actually,
ano nangyari? So, nag-stop siya.
Nag-stop siya pero parang I think naging involved siya with either an organization or the community. Actually, nandun siya sa screen na pinanood ko eh. Nandun si Agustin. Saka si Grace Simbol.
Wow.
Ay, hindi si Grace Simbol.
Ang
Yung nanay
cute.
na prof ko dati.
So, nung di ba last year? Yung cinema last year.
Oo.
Nandun yung nanay niya na prof ko and nandun si Agustin.
Oo.
And his mga kapatid.
Wow! Ang cute. So, nag-aral pa rin siya. Tapos, na-involve siya sa isang organization.
Nag-aral
for
siya
what?
pero yun nga, he had to stop for something. Kasi hindi na niya kaya. Tapos, parang involved siya with some sort of organization. Or hindi ko na matandaan. Tagal na kasi yun.
Anong organization to? Maganda ba siya? Or pangit? Or
Maganda siguro
dangerous?
organization. Hindi naman siguro.
Okay, kala ko. Sobrang, talaga ako na gusto kong may mangyari sa kanyang maganda. Kasi, grabe, parang masipag naman siya, ganyan. Tapos, ang galing din ni Grace, saka yung DOP niya. Kasi, kung naalala niyo, may part dun sa film na tinatanong siya kung bakit siya late, bakit ganito, ganyan, bawal na yan, ganyan. Alam mo yun, kung sila yung klase ng documentary filmmaker na they have to script, yung para may script, ganyan. Hindi, talaga hinayaan lang nila na nangyayari yung bagay-bagay. Tapos makikita mo si Agustin na parang gusto niya i-explain yung sarili niya. Kaya lang alam niyang tama kasi yung teacher. Alam mo yun, parang, Ma'am naman, huwag mo naman ganyan si Agustin. Gusto mong lumapit. Ma'am naman, tama na, huwag mo na siyang ganyan. Nag-work kasi siya kahapon. Kailangan niyang pumasok sa work kasi wala silang kakainin. Yung ganon. Ayun. Kayo, what do you guys think?
Ikaw, Jim, have you seen, nakita mo to, di ba? Napanood mo?
Yes, sa Q-Cinema.
Your thoughts on...
Naalala ko to kasi ito yung documentary na napanood ko aside from Kabul City in the Wind last year sa Q-Cinema. And itong A is for Agustin, surprisingly, maraming nanood. Hindi lang mga senior citizens, kundi I believe mga students yung kasabay kong nanood nito. And for me, nakakaiyak siya. It's to heart-wrenching. Kasi you want something good na may mangyari, di ba, kay Agustin. And aside from that, yung parang nakikita kong another obstacle or challenge kay Agustin kasi matanda na siya. 'Di ba? Kasi nandoon yung part na kapag matanda na nakakahiya ng makipagsabay 'di ba with elementary students, 'di ba? Although nakikita natin yung niya, dedication or I think the eagerness. However, napipigilan siya because of their situation, 'di ba? Yung poverty. And ang nakakalungkot doon kasi dahil nga doon sa hindi pa siya ganong karunong magsulat, magbasa, naaabuso sila, 'di ba? Yun yung sad na part, 'di ba, na ganito may nangyayari pa rin ganito, 'di ba? When everyone is screaming or shouting for equality, hindi pa rin talaga naaalis yung inequality, 'di ba? Ayun.
Brian, napanood mo yung Ace for Agustin?
Yes, napanood ko siya.
What are your thoughts on it?
Actually, nakakita ako si Grace about this kind of film. Parang sinasabi niya, di ba lang mapagan ako ng Grace Eva. Parang 3 to 5 years siyang ginawa yung film. Tapos, medyo may mga lang siyang kwento about na sana napapanood pa siya ng mas mahaba, may maraming tao, pero dahil sa limited data yung time. For me, ako kasi I always love following stories, empowering your subject. So kasi parang yung motivation ni Grace is empower yung character niya. And may sad reality lang talaga. Kailangan niyang i-face. And for me, naawa pa rin ako sa mga sitwasyon sa mga kababayan natin. Kasi alam mo, makita mo yung totoong kwento ng bansa sa mga taong hindi yung malalaking tao. Yung mga sa
Sa small
malalayong
communities,
lugar.
tama.
Small
Totoo.
communities. So,
Mm.
nakikita mo yung totoong kwento ng Pilipinas dun sa mga
Mm.
small communities.
Mm.
And for me, it's a reality pa rin. At tama yung, worth it yung investment ni Grace to film this for 55 years. Magandang motivation yan sa documentary.
Tama. Ay, ang kasabay pala nito guys, last year is Spring by the Sea. Yun pala. Tatlo sila na feature ng magkakasabay. Kasama ng For My Alien.
Yung malaking pamilya na nasa abroad.
Sa Saudi Arabia.
Nasa Saudi.
Yes,
Kay Alea
Alea.
Garcia. Yes.
It won Gawad si CP, second place. Magkano kami tapos kami. No? Pero short version lang yata yung pinalabas niya doon.
Oo.
So, dinevelop niya for full length yata. Hindi ko alam kung nakakuha siya ng funding from Q Cinema.
Yes, nakakuha siya.
I haven't watched
500,000.
it. Gusto mapanood yun eh. Wala na akong happy.
In
Ako
fairness,
din
alam niyo,
kasi
sa
last
lahat,
year conflict din sa
to,
schedule ko eh.
Alam niyo ba, it's hard to film sa Saudi. And
sa
then,
tatlong to, ito yung si Spring by the Sea ang hindi masyadong nag-umikot, ganyan.
ang daming documentary filmmakers. Siyempre maraming Pilipino sa Saudi. Maraming gusto mag-document doon. Pero it's hard to, it's hard to film in Saudi. Parang hirap palang pumunta doon. And ang dami mong challenges. I think that's also an important thing. Hindi nagkaroon ako ng copy. I hope, give us a copy.
Ayan naman, Alea. First name basis
Baka
na lang.
naman.
Baka naman. Correct. Ayun, nag-agree ako dun sa'yo, Jim. Ano pala, yung part na iniyakan ko ng bongga was yung nag-away sila mag-asawa sa is for Augustine. Yung nag-pan out, tapos hindi na nila sinute na part. Parang gusto sanang sabihin ng asawa na, tigil mo na yung pangarap mo. Parang ganun na yung sinabi na. Tapos parang, kailangan ko mag-aaral kasi nga gusto kong magganto, ganyan. Kailangan din nila mag-work. And ayaw mo naman magalit dun sa asawa niya. Pero, kasi tama rin naman siya. Pero, di ba, way to go, supportive wife. Parang ganun. So, yun lang.
Ayun. So, let's move on to the next film. The next film is from the Taboo section. No, it's a 1983 film by Nick De Ocampo. It's part of his Ang Lunsod ng Tao ay Nasa Puso trilogy. The title of this film is Oliver. It follows a female impersonator trying to support his family by performing in the gay bars in Manila. And this was set during the Marcos dictatorship, 1983, di ba? Just before, siguro around the time na ni-rescind niya yung martial law. Pero yon. Parang structure, it's very similar to a lot of films na tipong you're engaging in all of these acts, pero what you are trying to do is still supporting your family. And may interesting cast of characters siya, very colorful. Nandun yung lola na very supportive sa kanyang apo. Ayun yung mga bata na inaalagaan niya. And of course, there's the impersonator himself who does all sorts of things in mga performances niya to entertain the audience. So, Jim, would you talk a bit about Oliver and what you thought about it?
Ako for me, ang word ko dito na bago ko ma-describe ko siya, sui generis siya saka groundbreaking. Kasi during its era, actually di tayo masyadong aware, iba sa generation natin nung mga 80s about documentaries. Mostly mga about Marcos, diba? Aquino, yun eh, doon na siya iikot. Pero with Oliver, I believe nauna to with Paris is Burning, diba? Yung parang depicting or pinapakita yung lifestyle ng mga LGBT. So, ang maganda with Oliver, kasi ako hindi ko lang nakikita yung documentary, but kumbaga yung gusto na i-educate sa atin ni Sir Nicky Ocampo. Ganon. So, ang maganda dito with Oliver, nakita rin naman natin dito na meron pa ring discrimination with gays during that time. Ang ano lang natin dito sa kanya was that gusto niya pa rin ni Oliver na tanggapin siya ng society. Kaya ang nangyari, if I recall correctly, nagkaanak siya, may nabuntis siyang babae. So, nandun pa rin yung part na kailangan pag lalaki, meron pa rin family, meron pa rin anak, parang nandun pa rin yung part na patriarchal siya. And at the same time, siya rin kasi yung nag-aalaga dun sa lola niya. And mga pamangkin niya, ang dami niyang inaalaga. Ang dami niyang tawag dito, inaampon. Ganun yung nangyari sa kanya, diba? And ang representation kasi ni Oliver, hindi lang niya nare-represent yung gay community. Nire-represent niya yung Filipino striving hard to have a better life. Ganun. At ang pinaka for me, highlight or striking image ng film ay yung Spider-Man. Paano nangyari yon? Yung parang may tali, biglang,
Yes.
hindi mo ma-explain. Ano? Diba? Na parang ini-explain niya nga, diba, in the documentary na pinupuntahan pa daw nila Lino Broca during that time. Siyempre, during that time, boy pa si Lino Broca, that's 80s. So, parang may dinadala pa daw ng mga foreigner. They are very interested in watching that show. Kasi akala natin, nag-i-impersonate lang siya ng mga performances nila Liza Minnelli in Cabaret, di ba? Ano pala, may iba pang show, di ba? Na parang, di ba? Akala ko macho dancing, yung pala, paano nangyari yun? Di ba? Parang ang doon mo makikita na yung Filipino, they're doing creative way to survive. Kahit na risky and at the same time, no, malagay sa peligro na talaga yung buhay nila. Basta lang talaga kumita. Ayun, yun lang yung masasabi ko with Oliver.
Ayun. Any other thoughts from anyone else who's seen the film? Agree naman ako with earlier points.
Yeah, agree din ako kay Jim. Gusto ko rin stress out dito, yung parang kung kailan siya pinil. Parang panahon ng Marcos era to na puro kasinungalingan na sinasabi, umaasenso ang Pilipinas, maganda ang Pilipinas. Pero sa film nito ni Sir Nick, yun napakita niya na hindi siya ganun. Kaya for me, nandun pa rin yung value and importance ng film. Kaya yun, it talks about sexuality, ayun, yun yung nagustuhan ko dun sa film ni Sir Nick. Sinasabi niya yung parang Spider-Man. Sabi ni Sir Nick, parang it reflects the Philippine society na kawing-kawing, magulo. Parang yun yung explanation niya ng narinig ko. Yung kwento niya about it. Ito yung parang subtext ng film. Kaya niya, marami siyang, di ba video, marami siyang footage niya, di ba?
Oo.
Magawa siya. Parang yun ang symbolism niya according to Sir Nick. Yun lang, naalala ko sinabi niya. Yung narinig yung talk niya about it.
Okay na, no? So the last film is from the locality section. It's a 2019 film by Jay Rosas and Mark Limbaga. It was also featured in the Binisaya Film Festival, and it will be featured, it is being featured in the ongoing Pista ng Pelikulang Pilipino. It's Budots the Craze. It's about the Budots, it's a dance craze sweeping the nation. It might even have propelled one of our senators' power.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately.
I guess, Brian, could you tell us a bit about Budots the Craze?
Go, Brian.
Sobrang gusto ko tong film na to. Short lang yata to like 23 minutes. 23 minutes.
Yes.
Na film. Alam niyo ba, doon ang best ko siyang pinanood. Nag-enjoy ako panoorin siya. Hindi ko napanood lahat, pero itong film na to, very light siya sa line-up. Parang nag-iisa ba siyang light story dun sa line-up? Medyo.
I think so.
Parang siya yung nag-iisang about music and light. Kaya sabi ko iba tong in-offer ng Dang Docu. At hindi ko alam na mayroon palang ganitong documentary. At hindi ko na alam yung Katang Budots. So dito ako naliwanagan. Dito ako naliwanagan. Ang gusto ko dito kung yung underlying text ng pelikula. Alam mo yung parang ini-enjoy ka niya pero may iniiwan siya sa'yo parang sinasabi niya, it talks about the Mindanao, correct me if I'm wrong, Princess, about the Muslim identity ba? Or the Mindanao identity, kung paano yung movement, the movement of the hands, na kinakwento ng filmmaker, na parang, parang, okay, so nag-gets ko yung point. May iniwan sa akin may ganung information or reality. And then the second one, ang naiwan niya sa akin dito yung subtext is Manila-centric ng mga Pilipino. Kasi naawa ko dun sa creator ng kanta. Hindi daw siya pinapaalam ng
Wala siyang royalties.
Wala siyang royalties. Hindi siya pinapausap. Ay, grabe.
Hindi nagpapaalam sa kanya.
Yes.
Parang
paggamit ng music.
Pinakita rito yung disparity ng mga hindi ka nakatira sa Manila. Okay lang gamitin namin to kasi may gano'n ako feeling kasi beside. Yung pagiging Manila-centric ng mga Pilipino.
Tama.
For me, bakit nga ba ganun? Tapos may macro perspective siya na this is not about Mindanao. It talks about the Philippine president and coming from this region. na talks about the identity of the Mindanao. And the next, parang our president is about from this region and the identity of this president. May malakas ng perspective eh. Nakakala mo lang, pinapasaya ka lang niya, kumakanta-kanta lang. Akala niyo kanta lang itong music na to. Pero, no, it's not. May malalim siyang narrative. Okay, sabi ko, this is a good thing.
Ayun, no?
Actually, I agree with you. Parang, nung sinasabi mo kanina, it's very light.
Yes.
Meron siyang mas underlying pa na tinatry na i-discuss.
Yes.
Which is, yun nga, not just the localities, pero alam mo ba na kaming, sa household namin, ayaw namin na tinatawag yung mga pulubi dito as Bajau. Kasi, yung may mga Bajawans na, Bajau sila, pero the reason why that they sing in the streets is because yun yung, kumbaga parang yun yung identity nila as a tribo. They're like musicians sa tribo nila. So, alam mo yun, ikaw kung pinalaki ka na tumugtog, ganyan, tas wala kang ibang source of income, when you get to Manila, anong gagawin mo? Siyempre, magtutugtog ka na lang. Pang limos, yun yung ibang ginagawa ng ibang Bajaws. So, yun. So, kaya, tama, very ironic, pero most of those na nasa South, they hate it when you call them Luzoners. Ang weird, no? Parang, pero actually, I feel na nangyari lang yun nung may napunta sa Malacanang 4 years ago. Pero before, hindi naman ganun kakilala yung ganung klaseng divide. So, it's good na this one came out, or this film was made kasi parang alam kasi ni Jay, yung isang co-filmmaker, alam niya yung thinking ng mga Manileños or ng mga taga-North sa mga taga-South, and alam niya rin yung tingin ng mga taga-South sa North. Ang galing kasi hindi mo maiisip na may bias siya na, okay, ito lang sa South. So kami, we're the real thing. Hindi, wala siyang ganun eh. Parang this docu shows the both sides, no?
Kaya sinasabi ko important yung regional voices, yung independent voice. Kasi the mainstream TV or the mainstream media, hindi to kayang i-discuss ng ganun ka-in-depth eh. Alright, nasa layer lang tayo ng it's about music, it's about dance, andun nasa layer. Pero yung mga independent voice, they can deep dive sa kwento na akala mo lang kanta lang to. Wait, there's more. Yun yung sinasabi ko na we have to empower independent voices. Kaya that's why I always advocate for independent voices. Ang pagkakwento ng pelikula ay hindi lang malalaking pangalan na dapat involved o malalaking kampanya. Mas lumalalim ang kwento kung mayroong personal na experiences yung gumagawa o yung nagkukwento. Mas lumalapit tayo din sa puso ng story.
Tama. So, yes.
Tama.
Any final thoughts about Budots de Chris?
So, supportahan natin siya sa pelikula Pilipino. Tama sinabi ni Jen. Tama ba, Jan? Sabi mo sa pista?
Yes, nasa PPP siya. Ano niya? I think libre siya, no? Libre ba siya?
No.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, teka, babasahin ko lang
yung pelikula. Marami pa tayo.
Yes.
Sana nga.
Sana nga.
Ganyan style.
Yes. Ay, ano pala, before we close, pwede ko mabasahin yung sa Twitter. May ganun tayo eh.
Sige.
May mga...
From our listeners.
By the way, Brian, since it's your first time, pala, may 5 listeners pala kami.
Sabi yung
5 listeners, 1 viewer ng YouTube namin.
Asa pinapost sa YouTube. Okay.
Anyways, sa Twitter, ayan, sabi niya, from Migs at Miggyber, di ko napanood lahat. Sana pwedeng balikan yung ibang pelikula. Anyway, ang ganda ng festival na ito. Lahat may bagong gustong sabihin at ipanglaban. Timely din dahil sa panahon ngayon talamak ang opresyon at kailangan natin ito malaman. Binigyan ng daang docu ang boses ng tao. From Miggyber. Yes. So yun, isa lang.
Thank you for listening to us.
Yes. Thank you for supporting us.
Nag-iisa lang yung nag-reply sa tweet na.
Hopefully in the future, no, bumalik ang daang docu in some form.
Yes.
Another edition. More curated films. An online format is fine. Hopefully, sana mawala na yung virus para pwede na tayo mag-sine ulit. Pero, thoughts and prayers para doon. Thoughts and prayers.
Tama.
So, yun.
By the way, I want to congratulate Brian kasi di ba mo yata sa short film ay na-accept, di ba? In Rebecca ba yun?
Wow!
Na-accept siya?
Tribeca ba? Tribeca.
Ayan, nag-Tribeca siya.
Yes.
Ginagawa kasi yung documentary ngayon. It's about migration and stateless ng mga Pilipino. It's a border story sa Malaysia. Yun, hopefully sana mapalabas ko siya sa Pilipinas. Wait, matapos ko muna pala sa mapalabas.
Oo, kasi may pandemya pa.
Tapos naman to invite you na panood din siya. Ayun, hoping na matapos namin. Kasi ang daming issue ngayon hirap mag-film.
True.
Nakuha kami ng support from Tribeca. I mean, to develop the story. Yun.
Ay, ito ba yung The Invisibles?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Thank you,
Brian.
Thank
All the
you.
best. All the best for your
Sobrang
academy.
sobrang nag-enjoy ako dito sa usap.
Wow.
Ay, balitaan mo kami niyan. Balitaan mo kami.
Yes.
Pag lumabas yung film mo, yan, napanood namin. You're welcome to come.
Sige.
Yes.
Kung gusto mo makipagchikahan
Ano pala?
about anything, tawagin.
Sure.
Tama.
Docu lang kaya ko eh.
Okay lang.
Zoom party. Yes, Zoom party.
Zoom.
Galing naman. You're joined by din pala, si Joanna Arong.
Joanna Arong. Yes.
Shirin
Si
Bandari.
Bahajin is about Marawi. Joanna
Yes.
is about Myanmar.
116B University Avenue, Rangoon. And then,
It's about the Myanmar.
Myanmar.
sa Myanmar. Okay.
Parang,
Si Grace din. She also sent in an
Si
entry.
Grace naman is yung
Married to the
person
Underground kay Ka Arman.
about
Ooh.
communism.
Galing yun man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Part sila ng Docs by the Sea.
Yeah.
Ayan.
Festival siya, open na ng documentary. Funding ninyo, tumatagas minimalize.
Yes, kung nakikinig po kayo.
Yun ang
Tama.
hope no? Yun ang hope. Sana more film festivals talaga.
Yes, so sana ang parang good start na rin siya for us.
True.
For documentary. Kasi sabi ko nga lagi, documentary is important. Parang para siyang, isipin mo yung bahay mo, kung wala kang photo album sa pamilya mo, paano mo makapag-reflect, paano mo makapag-release? Yun lang.
Interesting.
Ayun.
Okay.
So, I guess that ends our episode for today.
Yes.
Brian, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Brian, thank you very much.
Sobrang nag-enjoy ako.
Kung gusto mo na mag-talk about films, just message us.
Sige.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Stay safe, guys. Stay
Bye,
safe.
guys.
That's it. That's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. This would not be made possible without your support, and of course with the help of Cutprint Podcast Network's team, headed by Patricia Marie Ferrer, Network and Podcast Manager Ellie Kirong Cole, Social Media Manager Rowan Palomares, Business Development Team Lead Lee Lirio, and from the creative side, Christina Lido and Andre Luis Castillo Ibanez. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Stitcher, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts from.
Third World Cinema Club.